The United States, once again, is heading into record pandemic territory. Yesterday, officials reported more than 50,000 new infections nationwide. That, by the way, is a new daily high. The surge has led 22 states to do this: pause or roll back the reopening of their economies. CBC's Salima Shivji is on the story live from Washington. So we're hearing, Salima, major setbacks right across the U.S., with so many of those states reporting spikes in the number of cases, the number of hospitalizations. And then you get U.S. President Donald Trump. He was out this morning, and he wasn't talking about that. What was he talking about?
That's right, Suhanna. Actually, Donald Trump called this briefing very abruptly. It was added to the schedule. The president really wanted to talk about some good news in a jobs report, the latest employment report that actually shows better growth than expected. 4.8 million jobs added, with states reopening their economies. The unemployment rate is actually down by 2.2%, down to around 11%, falling for the second straight month. But you got to say, the portrait that is being shown here is skewed. It's very misleading, because the jobs report goes up to mid-June. So it's a snapshot of what was happening around June 12th. And that was before the infection numbers really spiraled out of control in so many states here, before many of those states, as you say, more than 20, paused or rolled back their reopening measures and reimposing lockdown measures. So this is really not exactly the portrait of what's happening in the country right now. And yet, Donald Trump very much hanging on to a rosier view of what's happening.
The United States economy added almost 5 million jobs in the month of June, shattering all expectations. The expectations were much lower than that. Our economy is roaring back. It's coming back extremely strong. We have some areas where we're putting out the flames or the fires under control. Some areas that were very hard hit are now doing very well. Some were doing very well, and we thought they may be gone, and they flare up, and we're putting out the fires.
So that language over the virus, that these are just little flare-ups, little embers, and those flames are being put out rather quickly, temporary hotspots, the fact that this is under control, that's a sort of line that we've been hearing from the White House over and over. And Donald Trump, right after saying that, walked off without taking any questions from reporters, very much wanting to talk job numbers and wanting to stick to what he wanted to say, even as local state officials across the country in many states are pleading with Americans to listen, to stay home, to wear a mask, to tone down their July 4th celebrations, really to not make this bad situation worse.
And masks, you know what, and we just told our viewers that here in Toronto on the subway, masks are mandatory. Speaking of masks in the U.S., the president facing increasing criticism over his handling of this crisis, including his apparent lack of enthusiasm for wearing a mask. He did not wear a mask when he was speaking with reporters earlier. And what did he say yesterday that's raising eyebrows?
Yeah, he talked about masks in the same interview, though, as well. He again had a little bit of wishful thinking about the virus and the severity of it spreading in the United States. Take a listen.
We're headed back in a very strong fashion with a V, and I think we're going to be very good with the coronavirus. I think that at some point that's going to sort of just disappear, I hope.
You still believe so? Disappear?
Well, I do, yeah, sure, at some point. And I think we're going to have a vaccine very soon, too.
That interview on Fox Business Network, of course, a vaccine many months away still, if researchers are able to develop one that is both safe and effective. But on masks, in that same interview, Donald Trump did pivot and shift his view slightly. We've seen there's been quite a lot of pressure on the president from Republican leaders, Republican governors that are actually calling on their citizens to wear masks more and more. We've seen the vice president, Mike Pence, go out to events wearing a mask as well, really starting to wear them all of a sudden. And one senator actually has been urging Donald Trump to wear one too and set an example. And so Trump, in that interview, he said that he is all for masks and he might wear one if he were in close situations, and he thinks he looks rather good in a mask as well. Although he did say he does not think that wearing a mask has to be mandatory. And so for July 4th, that a lot of people are looking at with worry here, with crowds gathering to celebrate Independence Day, there will be a large fireworks display here in Washington at the National Mall, the largest ever seen. It's being billed as. Some 300,000 masks will be handed out, but the people taking those masks and coming down to watch the fireworks will not be forced to wear that mask.
Thanks for that, Salima. CBC's Salima Shivji in Washington.